the negative traumatic experiences that have happened in the past that continue to live in us to this day, that's only half the journey.
I'm Aaron Michael, and this is Cervical Tales, stories of the everyday woman.
This is a story of anger and pain. I was working actually with a client, and she was a prostitute. She had been working for about a year in that profession, and in the most recent time, she had been working with men that had anger issues, specifically towards women and around sex. Now, she had a bit of a therapeutic background. Not a bit. She actually had been a psychologist. And so she was wanting to mix her escorting. It wasn't really escorting. It was prostitution. There was no going on a date or whatever. These guys were coming over to have sex, and she was there to help them, and they were wanting to be able to transform the anger that they had. And they were taking a rather cathartic method of, well, embody the anger, move it into me, and out of yourself. And so this happened twice in 1 week, 2 times with the one client and once with the other client. And though she did not feel physical pain in her body, the anger resided. And over the next 2 to 3 weeks, she actually became feverish and felt that there was this heat that she could not release from her own body, and was also noticing inside herself that there was kind of this welling anger, and it was starting to turn then into pain that was around this whole area, not just around her womb, but specifically her heart as well. So we ended up having a conversation, and I said, well, what was likely happening is that they were transferring their anger into you, and you did not have a way to release it. Now, when they were having sex with you, were they jackhammering specifically like deep into your womb and into your cervix? And she said yes. In fact, that was the place where there was this constant kind of like tapping that was happening. It wasn't even a tapping, it was more of a banging. And she said I was the one that was actually encouraging them and using my hands to get their hips to move and get them to vocalize and release that anger. And that the guys had felt that something had shifted and moved for them, but it, however, left something in her body, and she was not able to just, through the normal practices of being able to ground, being able to do kind of other breath work, to get this to release. So I said, well, let me introduce you to some ways that you can start to interact with your own cervix to be able to release any type of pent-up stories, energy that is in the tissues, and frankly, see if you can get rid of some of this heat. And so we worked together. It was just one single session around this topic, and because we had worked beforehand, but applying it to the situation that was there, she using her own hand, using a wand, using just her breath, using just her voice, discovered how to get the cervix to actually come down to be able to discharge the pain, discharge the anger, felt the heat leave her body. The fever that she had actually given her some hives. Those went away, and it didn't just remove the negativity. It opened up her heart again, where she had been feeling very closed off. For those 2 to 3 weeks, she hadn't really been seeing other people. She had not been feeling good in her body, but also though, just she had noticed that emotionally she felt shut down. The colors of the world around her seemed duller. The sounds were not as vibrant, and just her connection to herself and the rest of the world was lacking. So what happened? Well, as she then started to engage consciously with her pelvic floor, feeling her cervix starting to dilate again, that heat left, the anger left, joy entered, and this sense of oneness with the world around her became very evident. The colors became brighter. The sounds were stimulating in a good way. Her nerves didn't feel frayed. She felt that she could engage with life and not become overwhelmed. And the anger that was once there opened into this deeper state of joy, a deeper sense of love for herself, for life, and for people in general. In fact, even men whom at that point she had just noticed this kind of deep anger towards. It wasn't just a release of it, it was an embracing of all the things that she had done in her past and all the things to come forward in her future, and a meeting of herself in the present moment, and realizing that in that present moment was the gift, the present of being present with herself, and reestablishing this deep connection and wisdom and listening to her cervix and feeling that womb becoming erotically enlivened. It's so important that when we start to interact with this part of ourselves, that it has impact on those that you choose to partner with. It has impact on your relationship to yourself. And it isn't just about becoming aware analytically of the negative traumatic experiences that have happened in the past that continue to live in us to this day. That's only half the journey. The other half of the journey is to erotically enliven it so that this part becomes back in step with the dance of life. And that is what she noticed. Her posture changed, her voice changed, and going forwards, it was interesting. Her clientele changed, as well as then the type of men that she started to attract in her own personal life apart from work. And the beauty was that where she had not had a relationship for a very long time, all of a sudden she encountered that she started to meet men of the quality that she wanted to actually date personally, and eventually ended up in a beautiful relationship.